Hi everyone and welcome. Today I'm going to walk you through how to open and access the Blackboard Collaboration tool so we can begin meeting together in our virtual classroom space. You should know that my screen may look different in some ways because I might be using a different browser or I might just have different options. There will likely be minor differences between what you see on my screen and what you see on your screen, and that's okay. It should be similar enough where you should still be able to follow along and figure it out. Okay, so starting from your My Sac State, My CSUS homepage here, you're going to want to log in with your normal SAC link information. So mine's already entered. I'm going to go ahead and log in. And then from here, we're going to want to scroll down or scroll around and find where your SAC-CT Blackboard link is. Mine's down here, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. And so now we've made it to SAC-CT here. And so we need to select the class we'd like to log into. For me, this is going to be our Comms 106 Section 2. For you, it might be Section 1 or it might be a different class, but either way, select the class you'd like to use. And now I'm in our Comms 106 SAC-CT page, and I'd like to navigate over to where the collaboration tool is located, which is this information section here. So I'm going to click this button. So we clicked information and we should now be able to see our options for where to go for accessing our virtual space. So in general, you'll want to select the option that connects you to the classroom we'll be accessing for the day. And normally it will probably look like this one here. But this one is only open during the regular class session time, and it usually opens about 15 minutes prior to. So if I try to access it now, I'm going to get an error message because it's not open. So I'm going to go back, and instead I'm going to access this test version now so I can practice and get used to the system. So this is the one we want to use at the moment. So I'm going to click this one. And if I wait, it should pop up this window to let me download the program. If you wait and it doesn't pop this up here, then what you can do is download the session manually here. But it came up for me pretty easily and I haven't had any problems with it, so hopefully you don't have problems with it as well. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to save this program onto my desktop because that's where it's easy for me to access it. It might be easier for you to access it somewhere else, but I'm going to go ahead and save it to my desktop. So here it goes. Alright, so it's downloaded to my desktop, and what I'm going to do now is double click on it to open it and join. So it should likely pop up some dialog boxes to help you do this. But there are two problems that you might encounter that I'm aware of. One is that you might not have Java, and if you don't have Java, it's not going to open correctly. Another is if you're using a firewall, you might need to turn your firewall off. But in general, it should open properly, and then it will pop up some dialog boxes. So I'm going to trust these boxes, I'm going to read through them carefully, and I'm going to click Run. And because I've already accessed it, it's going to take some time and load up. But for you, for your first time, you'll likely need to choose your connection speed, which is probably cable or DSL, if you don't know it. Otherwise, it's going to pop up some notifications, and then I'll be in the virtual system here. Okay, now that we've logged in and we are ready for action, you'll want to click around and get used to being inside the virtual classroom space. One thing you should be able to do is resize and move around these windows, and you can feel free to do this and make the space comfortable for you in whatever way you'd like it to be. Now let's go ahead and look at some of the classroom features. So first of all, there are these emoticon features up here, and you can add them to add a little mood that will appear next to your name, or you can add a confused mood, maybe some applause for clapping. So you can feel free to use these tools, but be careful not to overdo it. We don't want to use these too much. They aren't always helpful in our classroom, but they can be nice at times. So just be sure to use common sense with using those here. Otherwise, there's also this wave feature, so you'll want to put that up if you step out for any reason so we know that you're not there. So do use that. There's also this option to raise your hand here, and that will indicate that you have a question or you'd like to participate, and the instructor will see that and the instructor will call on you at the proper time. But be sure to put your hand down when you don't have a question anymore. Another feature here is the yes/no button, so the professor might ask us a question, and instead of everybody typing or saying yes, we can just click yes, and it will indicate a little check mark here saying that we agree with whatever that is, or we're answering yes. Or we can also click no, and that'll give us a little X. So I'm going to click none for now. And then also there is the chat window to be aware of down here, where we can participate in a text format with the rest of the classroom. So one thing you can do is talk to each other here and talk to the professor. For instance, I'm going to type a message to our test student over here. I'm going to say, "Hello, test student." And notice while I'm typing that this little indication shows that I'm typing a message. And as soon as I send it, that little indication goes away. So then let's see if our test student responds. And notice how as the test student is typing something to us, we also see this indication here. And then when the test student sends us a message, it goes us away. So our test student has said hello. So in general, you can use the chat participation down here, and we can use it in effective ways to interact with our peers and with the professor. One way we might use it, let's say the professor tells a funny joke, we might say haha or LOL or how funny. Or maybe we might use it to talk about a relevant experience that has to do with the media program we're talking about for that day. And these are acceptable ways to participate in the text chat here. But what we don't want to do is have a side conversation about our weekend or relationship problems or whatever. Make sure that whatever your dialogue is, make sure it's relevant to the class and what we have going on. Also, make sure your comments are positive and constructive to build a strong classroom climate. We don't want to be rude, we don't want to flame each other. So if you do disagree, or if you want to be critical towards someone in the class, it's okay to disagree. But choose your words carefully so we can show respect for one another. So the text chat participation is just for engaged, class-related, and respectful conversations. And then another thing you should know is that there's a way to have a private conversation with somebody. I can send a private chat message to somebody in my own little text box here. But just know that although comments are private in the way that they won't go to the whole class, the professor and the teaching assistant can still see this side conversation, so it is supervised. So be aware of that if you do choose to send a private conversation. But basically that's how to participate in the text chat. Okay, another thing we need to do is make sure our audio is functioning correctly. And this is because we do a lot of voice chats in this classroom using our microphone. And this may take some getting used to, but I would encourage you to really push yourself to chat with your voice whenever possible. So what we'll need to do is run the audio wizard, which can be found up here. So we'll want to click this little options menu and then select the audio setup wizard. And from here it will walk you through setup and let you test your speakers and test your microphone. So just read the instructions and walk through it. So I've already done mine, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this one off, but follow the instructions and go through it. Otherwise, it is required to have a microphone in this class. There's really no excuse. You must have one. So go out and get one today if you don't have one already. You won't be able to participate if you don't have a microphone, and this will likely negatively affect your grade in this course. Another requirement is that you must have headphones. If you do not have headphones and you speak to the class, you will create a horrible feedback loop that will create this awful beep ringy noise that the whole classroom will hear. So it is required that you have headphones so that this feedback loop isn't created. And again, if you don't have headphones, you won't be able to participate, and this again will negatively affect your grade. So, like I said, you must have headphones and you must have a microphone for this class. Another thing is that we can use the whiteboard here. For instance, you can draw. There's that. We can draw with it, and we can type text messages here. And there's other features as well. But just know that whatever you type or put in here, that everybody in the classroom can see it. So make sure it's appropriate and make sure it's relevant for what's going on in the class. Most likely we won't be using the whiteboard very often. If we do use it, our professor will let us know. Another important feature that you should be aware of is that the professor can request control of your computer, and this will allow us to see what's happening on your screen, and it will show the professor interacting with your screen. And just know that this is a temporary thing. It won't last after the classroom, and that you have the option to turn it off as well. But it does allow the professor to share the screen with the class, which we might be doing on occasion. Otherwise, those are all of the basics and the important features of navigating our virtual classroom. So play around with it, be adventurous, and you'll get used to it in no time. Good luck.